Get the #1 rated tire and wheel coverage anywhere, starting at $180 per year. Visit thervadvisor.com today.
This is the RV Advisor Podcast with your host, Tom Alexander. Get all the latest information, trends, advice from experts, stories from the road, and more in the world of recreational vehicles. Now, here's Tom.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the RV Advisor Podcast. My name's Tom Alexander, and today I am joined by the folks from Camp Lovesick. It is Em and Jane. Hey, Em and Jane, how are you?
Hi, good. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, you're in Prince Edward County, Ontario. Now, we were talking a moment before we came on, and so you're kind of like in an island dotted right in the middle of Lake Ontario.
Yes, we're definitely closer to the Canadian border. It's just a bridge to get over to us. Still lake all around, which is fantastic.
That is great. So I'm assuming that the weather is starting to get a little more mild.
Thankfully, because renovating campers in a Canadian winter has not been pleasant. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah, renovating campers, as well as an 1890 farmhouse, which is where I assume you're talking to me from right now.
Yes. As you can probably see by the beautiful wallpaper behind us, we're mid-renovation on that too.
Right. No, that's really cool. And you got a map of the world behind you as well. And that is really cool. So the 1890, wow. So do I dare ask? I mean, are there any spirits floating around in that farmhouse?
Oh, honestly, they probably don't want to stick around because this place needs some serious renovation. But thankfully, no bump-ins yet.
Yeah, you'd be haunting them, right?
Exactly.
Is that how that works?
You'd be coming at them with a hammer. They'd be pretty quick to leave.
Yeah, be an interesting topic or subject for a movie where it's like reverse, like the ghosts are scared of the people moving in.
Yes, exactly.
We could film it here for sure.
Yeah, there you go. So now, like, paint us a picture. Like, are you the farmhouse it's on an island. It's a short drive away from the Canadian coast on Lake Ontario. We know that. Are there neighbors close by, or are you kind of isolated?
We're on 16 acres. It's my brother's farm, so it's actually an organic flower farm that we're on. So it's pretty picturesque. We can see the lake out of the one side of the field.
It's a big enough. It's a decently big island. Like, I think it would take maybe 2 hours to drive around the whole thing. So it's not like you can see the one side from everywhere. You can't see the whole coast, but it's great. It's like country fields, and you just feel like you're in country Ontario.
Yeah. You can follow Camp Lovesick if you go on Instagram, and you can see. I'm looking at some really cool pictures right now, and there you go. I mean, it's pretty. And I can see the renovations, and as well, I can see some exteriors of where you live, and you've got I guess a camper that you're working on. Well, you're always working on campers, right? I guess that's.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Exactly. Yeah, so we have just one that we're working on now, and then we also have a school bus that we converted into a camper and took on a big trip across Canada and the States. And we're also working on that one kind of simultaneously with this other camper to sell both. We
lived in it full time for 9 months, and it was supposed to be 14, but COVID brought us back home a bit into the trip. So we were able to live in it for 9 months. So it has 9 months of full-time wear inside. So we just want to spiff it up, do a good old spit shine before we list it on the market. But we're ready to part with it. It's a sad thing to part with, like, your first big build and our full-time space. But we're ready to move on to bigger and better things. So
we're going to be selling that. The two projects that we're working on right now: the camper and then the bus, and getting them both shiny and nice.
And then also trying to make sure that this house doesn't fall down around us.
Right. Now, does the house, well, you said, Jane, that the farm is your brother's.
Yeah.
But the house, is that, are you renting it from him, or is it your house, or how?
He's living here too, so he's
Oh.
just allowed us to live for free.
We're running through labor.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the handy ones in the family.
Okay.
So
Wow.
we're here helping him fix it up, teaching him a few things, having,
So that's
our
really-
tools are here. We're using his workshop kind of thing. And
Yeah.
in return, we get to live on the upper floor, and he lives in the main floor, and we share a kitchen. So it's not too bad. It's not
That's
not shabby. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
So
we've
that's
always got
helpful.
along, so that's
Yeah. Well, that's not a terrible arrangement, is it? That's not bad at all.
No.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. So now, do you guys do a little bit of boating there since you're on an island? Do you get
Oh, I wish. No,
Not yet.
not yet. We only just moved here in October. He's been living here for a few years, but we just moved here in October. So we did a big camper flip when COVID brought us back last March, so over a year ago, and then sold that last August, and then went on a trip in our bus because we just needed another little something. So we did a COVID safe trip just kind of around where we were living in our bus for the month of September, and then moved here October, and have just been kind of trying to nest a little bit here, but also flipping our newest camper that we
But we have
purchased.
we've got our eyes set on a canoe, hopefully in the not too distant future.
Yeah, at least a canoe. We can at least do a canoe. Maybe not a big boat, but at least
Right.
we can get a
Yeah.
canoe.
Yeah. That
So we can
sounds
get out
manageable and kind of get
Yeah.
things rolling.
Exactly.
So I want to talk about, a few more things, obviously, on the other side of the break, but I do have to ask you before we go to a commercial. COVID, obviously, you said it brought you back and everything. How you guys doing up there? Everybody, things starting to get a little, kind of coming back to normal a little bit?
No, not one bit. Yeah, we just went into our third lockdown here, so we're not allowed to actually leave our homes. That's just a thing that our government put in place to try to, help people get through this time. And it's harsh. It's like a harsh.
What do you do when you have
sprint.
to have stuff delivered, like food and things like that?
We're allowed to go to the grocery store. That's the only one.
Okay.
But hardware stores are closed. Everything's closed or open for curbside pickup, but nothing is like in store. The only stores you can go to are grocery stores. That's
Grocery
it.
And pharmacies.
And pharmacies.
And pharmacies, right?
No, and the liquor store.
Really, they do.
Those are the three stores that you can go to.
Yeah.
So and otherwise,
things are never so bad where they don't let you toss one back, right? I mean, that's basically, is that how that works?
yeah,
pretty much.
So it's third lockdown now, third stay-at-home order, and it's it stings a bit, but it's for the best, is to keep everyone safe. So we do recognize the numbers do go down once they put us into this.
Exactly. So
Right.
And vaccines are starting to roll out here. They're a slower roll than in the States, but they're coming. So everyone's kind of clinging to hope a bit. And
We're getting there, and then hopefully the whole planet will have that kumbaya moment, where we're all kind of just everybody's feeling a lot better and doing better, and
exactly.
that's what we're all kind of rallying around.
We're focusing on the small wins. So
Yes.
We're focusing on weather being slightly nicer and the small things that give you the joy, right?
Yeah.
Not set your stakes too high.
I agree. I absolutely agree. We're spoking. I'll be okay. We're speaking with the folks from Camp Lovesick. It is Em and Jane, and we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more in just a moment. This is the RV Advisor Podcast.
The RVACA is a charitable organization protecting the rights of the RV owners. We'll work with dealers and manufacturers to ensure quality control is in place prior to delivery of an RV. Additionally, the RVACA provides assistance to disaster relief victims. Visit rvaca.org.
We are back on the RV Advisor podcast. I'm Tom Alexander. My guests are Em and Jane. And Camp Lovesick is the name of the site on Instagram. If you go to Instagram and it's /Camp Lovesick, but just like it sounds, Camp Lovesick. Tell us a little bit about the origin of that name.
Well, it's kind of funny. It started out as actually just like a little art business that we were doing. So we wanted to think of a name that we felt embodied the essence of what the stuff that we were making and bringing to little local art fairs and that kind of stuff. And I was mainly the visionary for the art, but Jane was the hands.
Yeah.
You know, I would, sketch it all out and she'd have to fill it in kind of thing. So she was helping me produce the stuff, and we would go and do these little art fairs. And it was mainly just a name that we thought we liked the vibe of it. Like we like
Boy Scout chic kind of.
Yeah, it was kind of like paying homage to the, camp counselors that are no longer camp counselors, but somehow it's always a passion of ours. And but then still just like a little edgy and a little interesting and a little against the grain, which is kind of also the stuff we were making. And then so then that was actually what our Instagram was. And if you go onto our Instagram, you can scroll back and you can actually, if you go far enough back, a couple years deep, you can find actually like the original art that we were posting in there. Okay. And then we got this idea to renovate a school bus. So, and I needed a place to kind of track it. And I was, we wanted to kind of have this be like this Instagram that was showing all of our creativity and our creation. And all of a sudden the school bus took over our lives and we weren't able to make as much art anymore because we were renovating the whole time. So we ended up inevitably just starting to document the renovations. And from there started to gain a following of people who are interested in it. And then as we toured in our school bus, we ended up just loving tiny home living and RVs and campers in general, that when we came back from living full time, we started renovating our own campers, and just this name ended up
still working super well for
now. It works even more. Like now it's
you're still camping, and you're lovesick with the nature and the world around you.
So it honestly, to be brutally honest, it didn't have a meaning at the beginning, but it's somehow created meaning. And now we can't part with the name because it just makes us feel like, you're just so in love with camping and nature that you get a little sick sometimes. You're just so in love with it.
Listen,
it feels like very us, even though
I think that makes complete sense. And it's certainly a memorable name. It's got a cool kind of branding to it. It's like you can it's like, okay, it's original and kind of I think people will remember that. It sticks.
Yeah, and people ask us, so are you a summer camp? And we're like, oh, we wish. We're just a virtual one, so we like to say all of our followers are kind of like the campers who are joining in, and it's just a community over there, which is quite
terrific.
Fun.
Yeah, great. Now I know that obviously renovations are the sort of the center, if you will, of most of what you guys do. And you've all, like you said earlier, you've always got something cooking. So what's the current renovation right now? What are you working on besides the 1890 house that you're living in?
We've got one camper. It's from, I think, 1986.
Yeah.
That we picked up it in January, and it was full of mouse poo and really, really in need of a lot of love, but had super good bones.
Good bones.
Renovated a few campers now and are able to kind of go in and see what is aesthetically gross but still really functional, and what is,
it has to have good bones.
Yeah. So this one, I am in love with this camper. It's not even close to being done, and even from day one I stepped in, and the layout is really nice, and the fixtures are really functional, but it's just so ugly. So it's been such a treat to slowly turn it from something that is horrific to look at into something that's like really beautiful, clean, functional, and feels like a vacation. I find sometimes you'll go into an RV and it's like meant for adventure and vacation and things like that, but then you go inside and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm in a weird 1980s hell, as opposed to like enjoying myself on my trip.
Yeah.
And there's definitely a market for people who, you know, like outdoors, but maybe don't necessarily like camping. So it's just a really fun thing for us to be able to go into these old campers, save them from going into a landfill, and just redo everything and make it feel like a tiny home, make it feel like a small place someone can go and truly relax versus feel like they're camping. Because not everyone loves, we love camping, but not everyone does. So it's been fun to kind of put our aesthetic into it and be creative and design and be innovative that way, while also, you know, saving a lot of stuff from the landfill, which is always feels good.
Yeah, it's kind of like a rescue mission in a way.
It is, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I know there's a lot of animals that are rescues, right? So, you know, right? So now you're doing
a big metal one.
Yeah,
you're doing the same thing with campers, as long as it's got good bones.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Bones are key, right?
Yes.
No, that's absolutely terrific. I mean, it just sounds real interesting and a lot of fun. And it sounds, you know, just the whole thing of the 1890s farmhouse on an island in Lake Ontario as your headquarters, your home base, and then going out and rescuing these. Let me ask you this. What's the oldest camper that you've worked on? Is it the current one?
This one's the oldest. Mm-hmm.
It's the oldest, because we had someone on a few weeks back that had restored a 1968 camper.
Right. Oh, wow.
And had kind of, you know, discovered the original colors underneath and cool. Painted it back to those tones. And you know, I'm a big fan of you know, many, you know, just antiques and things like that. Even though I wouldn't say I'm a collector. I don't go out to shows and stuff, but I appreciate old buildings, old things. And people ask me all the time, and I've talked about it ad nauseum on this show, that the usher's jacket over my shoulder and in the background is from my grandfather's and my dad's movie theater from the 1930s. Wow. And the clocks from the 1950s, and you know, they're both quite functional. So it's just cool. It's cool stuff. Old things are cool, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And it's neat, actually. The camper that we did just before this was from the 1999, and it's interesting to see now these two campers and see how they're like put together and what building techniques are really different. And
they're built so differently.
And this 80s camper is built
better.
Like, it's built better. And I think the thing is, if you get those older campers, like, I'd be really interested to do a camper from the 60s or something, just because if it's still around, you know that it's built really well.
Honestly, it's before they came up with all of these tools to cut corners, right? And that it's like, so they would do it right. And now it's with the newer campers, if you start pulling back some of that veneer, you'll notice like, oh, this is just stapled together. No glue, no screws, nothing. Like, it's really interesting. It's been fun to learn.
Go older next.
Yeah, it seems like once things really started streamlining and they had to rush to meet the demands of the industry, that, you know, they had almost no choice but to cut corners or speed things up, and the craftsmanship was lost a little bit. Obviously, if you're going to buy a really super high-end unit, maybe that's a different story. But
definitely.
But anything that's like, you know, let's get it out fast. You know, it's like, okay, I can see where you cut the corners here on this.
Exactly. Yeah. As soon as you start peeling back the walls and things, you go, oh, I see how this is.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's fun to kind of learn about that, but then also be like, how can I design something within the constraints of what I've been given, but make it better and make it more functional, more beautiful. But then also, like, you know, without moving the plumbing, how can I make this layout even better? And just challenging ourselves that way to come up with some really creative solutions. It's been really, really fun to work on.
Yeah. Well, listen, I've just had an absolute blast talking to you guys, and we definitely need to have you guys on again. It was a lot of fun, and gee, next time you really should have a little more personality. I mean, I'm kidding. That's a joke because no, you guys, you're about two of the most outgoing guests we've had on the show. I'm telling you, lots of fun, lots of great energy. So listen, terrific. I mean, I'm looking at these pictures, and I would recommend highly to our viewers, to our listeners, because you can hear the podcast too, audio only, that you need to go on the Instagram page and check out these photos because they're super cool. It's at Instagram it is Camp Lovesick, and of course you've got your YouTube page too, right?
Yes, we last camper flip we made sure to get some really in-depth tutorials going on what we were doing to try to inspire people who wanted to do it from home, from people who didn't think that they were handy. I am a teacher. I actually am currently teaching as well. You're actually in my online classroom right now.
Oh, wow, very cool.
So, it's definitely a part of me of wanting to help and teach and inspire. And so we've done that on YouTube. We haven't done it more recently because I've started full-time teaching again. So it's hard to balance 2 full-time jobs, but Instagram, we post regularly. We have updates. We do little tutorials on there as well. So
wonderful. Well, that's great. And I always love meeting teachers. My wife's been a teacher for a long time. And it's great. Teachers help mold and shape the future. So it's always a great thing. Well, listen, Em and Jane, thank you so much. And we'll catch you again. We'll definitely do this again. And we'll get an update on the house and on the latest camper you're working on.
We will work hard so that there's an update to give.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, who knows? Maybe we'll do the next one from the second floor,
Yeah.
All right, there they are. It is Em and Jane from Camp Lovesick, and you can follow them at Instagram /Camp Lovesick. This is the RV Advisor podcast. I knew I'd come up with it. We'll be back in just a second.
The RVACA is a charitable organization protecting the rights of RV owners. With your help, we'll work with dealers and manufacturers to ensure quality controls in place prior to delivery of an RV. Additionally, the RVACA provides assistance to disaster relief victims. Visit rvaca.org.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the RV Advisor podcast. I'm Tom Alexander, and as always, we're joined by our guest coordinator, Neve Carrizzacco. Hey, Neve.
Hi, how you doing, Tom?
I'm doing great, thanks. And you're always in the car, but are you located? Like, where in South Florida are you today?
Well, right now I'm just outside my doctor's office because I just had a scan to check on the baby, so I just got out of there.
Wow, great. And everything's going great with the baby?
Everything's going great. She's nice and healthy. She's super tall, apparently.
Wow. Okay. Well, there's some height in the family. You're kind of tall and
yeah, I'm pretty tall. So is Sal. So yeah, we're a tall bunch of people.
There you go. So the little boys will have to, they'll have to be careful their sister doesn't
They sure will.
Boss. Yeah, right.
Yes.
Throw that height around, right?
Yeah.
Well, listen, that's terrific. September 2nd?
September 2nd.
See, I remembered that. How about that? That's the due date.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it may be a surprise to some of our viewers and listeners if they missed the big reveal show that we mentioned that you were having another baby and to go along with your 2 wonderful boys. And we're we have to know one of these days, what the name's going to be,
Yeah, I know. We're going back
I know you're working on it.
Yeah.
So, but we got some also some important news to share.
on the RV advisor side as well.
Yeah, we sure do. I've had a lot of people reach out to me over the course of, we'll say, the last month, via social media. A lot of people looking to use Gigi's personal services, GPS as we call it.
Yes.
Obviously, her knowledge is extensive within the RV industry. She's just a one-stop shop for all advice, whether it be legal, how to purchase your first RV, how to get the right warranty for your RV, what type of truck you have to drive for this trailer, whatever it may be. She is your go-to gal if you're looking to get somebody to just steer you in the right direction through getting the unit that you want, or if you're having an issue with your unit. So yeah, I just wanted to say to our followers and our fabulous listeners, if there's anything else they'd like to see, or if they're wondering what they can avail of from Gigi services, to reach out to us. Email me on ncarey@thervadvisor.com or via social media. And yeah, we're just there to help and make sure everyone's, whether it's their first time or second time or last time getting an RV, have proper direction when getting it. I mean, we hear and we are dealing with multiple nightmares belonging to people that just, didn't really know what they were doing, or just, were unlucky. Some people are just terribly unlucky with what's happened. But yeah, GPS is really something that should be looked into if you're in the RV industry or in the RV world.
Yes, absolutely. And of course, you can reach out and get us online if you like, info@thervadvisor.com, info@thervadvisor.com. I'll give you a second email as well, because if you're interested in reaching out to Neve directly and possibly being on the show, why don't you give me your email address, Neve?
So it's ncarey, NCAREY @thervadvisor.com.
Perfect. There you go. ncarey@thervadvisor.com. All right. Well, Neve, thank you so much. And we will see you again on Friday.
Yep.
For another edition of the RV Advisor podcast. For Neve Carey-Zacco, I'm Tom Alexander. Safe travels, everybody. We'll see you soon. Bye.